Hi everyone, and welcome to another great car here on the Car Reviews podcast with CollectorCarCanada.CA. Today we've got a pretty neat car to show you. It's a 2003 Saab 9.3 convertible. So the model is 9-3. We just say 9.3. It's the successor to the Saab 900. And over 1,000 improvements were made to this 9.3 from the outgoing 900 back in the late 90s. General Motors took over at Saab in 2000. So this car was engineered before that, although technically it was produced afterwards. Most might think it was built in Sweden. However, this one was built in neighboring Finland. So what we'll do, we'll give the car a start, take a look under the hood, listen to the engine, then we'll listen to the exhaust, and then take a tour of the entire car. So here we go with a startup. Nice easy start. The car is blessed with under 51,000 kilometers. We took a look around and we couldn't find another 03 Saab 9.3 in the province of Ontario, which is where this is being shot, at under 200,000 kilometers. So that's a testament certainly to the longevity of the cars. And at under 51,000 kilometers, this one's got a lot of life left. Original owner car, I might add, so very gently used by that original owner. So what we'll do, I'll pop the hood and then I'll grab the camera. We'll do a handheld camera tour of the car. So the hood's popped and I'll jump out, come get the camera. All right, so here's a good look at the engine compartment of the 03 Saab 9.3. There is a turbocharger under the hood here. You can see the 2.0 turbo label there. So a 2-liter inline 4-cylinder engine, and with the turbo it's good for over 200 horsepower. Please check the particular specs right on our detailed listing at CollectorCarCanada.CA. You're going to find it there as lot 230, lot 230 at CollectorCarCanada.CA. So I'll zoom in again on the camera. With the beauty cover, I don't see a belt, but we can get in and have a listen. So the direct ignition label there, we're going to see a spare part in the trunk related to that. Here's a good look at the shock towers. It's a little dusty, but pretty clean. I don't see any corrosion on it, and that certainly is consistent with what we might expect for a car with under 51,000 kilometers with the original owner. The Y at the beginning of the VIN number here, certainly the VIN number matches on the dash and in the door jamb, and we've checked the VIN number to the registration for the car, but that Y signifies a car that was built in either Sweden or Finland. They don't differentiate, whereas most of the other countries in the world, there's a first digit specific to the country of origin. So there's a good look at the 2003 Saab 9.3 SE convertible, finished in silver, the original silver, on a black interior. So let's take a little tour of the exterior, and we see a few neat sort of Saab features about it. Saab's known, I suppose, for being a little quirky, and it's, I guess it's compatriot Volvo, also a Swedish company. I'm used to seeing the headlight wipers on Volvos of the period as well. So there we go. It might be worth mentioning that Saab started life as an airplane manufacturer, so a bit like BMW in that it went to cars after it had started the company with airplanes. So there are a couple nicks in this silver original finish. We'll zoom in on them as we see them. We've already done our photo shoot, so we've spotted a few. And as we're shooting the video here, I see a scratch here, and there's one continuation of it on the hood. The tires are Michelin Pilot Sport AS3, I think I saw. We've got a nice close-up of them on the detailed listing. The size is 215/45 with a 17-inch diameter on the wheel. Original wheels. I did notice the tires are date coded 2016. So with a 51,000 car with tires that are 8 years out of 21 years in service for less than 50% of the mileage of the car, you can probably rest assured that they're pretty low milers. W speed rating for the tires, Pilot Sport AS3 by Michelin. Tread looks quite good. Front wheel drive car, I don't think I've mentioned that. So there's a side indicator, typical of a European car, and there's an SE badge too to back up what I said about the SE trim. Square setup for the wheels and tires, so 215/45 ZR17 here in the rear as well. I also see a 2016 date code on this tire, and W rated. I'm just realizing we've still got the engine running. I don't think we need the engine running for this part of the video, so I'm going to cut it off. As we'll see in the tour of the interior, Saabs have their key here on the console, so I'll cut the engine. Great shot here in the end of day sun. The only problem is there's a sign blocking the door portion of the sun, so that's what the shadow's from. But life is not perfect, what can we say? So with the 2-liter turbo, it exhales through a single exhaust, and there's a good look at that. On the detailed listing, you can see a startup, engine idle, and exhaust video, so you can hear the exhaust idling, exhaust at idle in that video. Nice polished tip as well. There's the Saab brand. The one emblem here on the trunk lid, it's consistent. It would be consistent with the one we saw on the hood, but it's had its finish chipped off. So you can still see the outline of the Saab badge, and certainly replaceable if one wanted to. But I do want to point out the little defects as we see. And there's the 9.3 model. I think technically there's a hyphen in the model name, but I think they went with that script to encourage the use of the term 9.3, and I believe that's also why the 9 is a larger font size than the 3. I skipped over a little blemish here on the corner of the rear bumper that's been touched up. I'm not even sure if the camera will pick it up, but it's quite minor. Certainly from 7 feet away, I'm not able to see it. There is another on the other corner. It's a little more noticeable, but again, not too major. I'm changing hands with the camera so I can pull out a coin to give you a sense of perspective on the size of the imperfection. But there we go. But otherwise, in the rear here, those tail lights look nice and clean, no cloudiness on them, and the paint's got a nice shine, even though the owner of the car didn't do a specific clean. It's been sitting, it was sitting in her garage, and it's got a little dust on it. And I think it also sat on her driveway while it rained, so there's some rain marks on it. So I don't think this car's been mistreated at all, but it's not perfectly clean today. I didn't check the driver's rear wheel for marks. Let's take another look at that. We do see a little mark here, but that's the only one on that wheel. Working our way over to the passenger side, I do see minor marking on this wheel as well, right there under the Michelin logo of the Michelin Pilot All Season 3s, AS3. Same tire all the way around. And we're seeing a lot of the same things on this side as we saw on the driver's side. Of course, we're in the shade side of the car. Give you a good look at the nice clean fuel refill area. I even pulled the cap too, so give you a little peace of mind that it's a nice clean setup for the filler neck as well. Antenna also looks good, no brittleness or cracking on the rubber part there. And over here, I'm not sure if you would have seen the keys got a remote lock function on it. So it's not a separate fob right on the key. I did note on the driver's door that there is a keyhole, but here on the passenger side there's not. So that keyhole on the driver's side is just in case that system should fail or your battery in the key dies. Here's a look at the SC badge here on the passenger side fender with the indicator light, the fender mounted indicator light, and the front right wheel, again, marking, I suppose, consistent with the other wheels. Not disastrous, but not perfect. And getting around again. So I'm going to take a, oh, there is a little bit of marking here on the front bumper cover too as well underneath this fog light. So I wanted to share that. So we're back to where we started here. Headlight wiper here on the passenger side as well. So before we go inside, I think what I'll do is I'll give the car a 360 walk around for you, and we'll end up back at the driver's door to take a look at the interior. Pretty easy to do here with the car in the sun and the top down. 2003 Saab 9.3 SE convertible, 2-liter, 4-cylinder, inline 4 with a turbo, good for over 200 horsepower. Again, check all of the detailed specs, please, on our detailed listing for lot 230 on CollectorCarCanada.CA. So there's a good look at the driver's side in the sun. Beautiful day here in this park where we're shooting. Cruising in on that driver's door. And there's the keyhole I mentioned when we were over on the passenger side. But let's jump in, have a quick tour of the interior. Actually, I won't jump in. It might be easier to do from here. So there's a door card. You don't see a window control. The power windows are mounted, the switches are mounted in the center console, but you do see a remote trunk release here, door latch, and there's a speaker and a pretty generous map pocket. I've got lights on the left side here, headlights at the top, fogs in the center, down below the interior dome light. 4 spoke steering wheel here on the 03 Saab. With an airbag within. There's an airbag over here on the passenger side as well. You can see the SRS, which stands for Supplemental Restraint System. And we got some head unit, or well, I suppose I'll say stereo control buttons on either side of that airbag mount on the leather wrapped 4-spoke steering wheel. Looking at instrumentation, I'm not going to switch the key to on, but we do have some photos with the key on. You'll see what the dash looks like with a few lights on. Just in the normal start process, everything's working as engineered, but a center mounted speedometer with a max reading of 260 kilometers an hour, which I suppose says something. To its left, 7,000 RPM tachometer with our 6,000 RPM red line, and a multi-gauge cluster over on the right of the speedometer. On the left side of that multi-gauge is the coolant temperature, on the right side fuel level, and then up top is a boost indicator to let the driver know how much of the turbo's juice he's using. I pointed out the speaker on the door. There's a matching one on the passenger door. There's also a speaker up here on the dash, on both sides, of course. Head unit with single CD player here in the dash, but there's a CD changer in the trunk, and it is branded Saab, so it's a Saab OEM item. I'm not sure if it would have been factory installed or dealer installed, but it is in place. One thing I didn't show is the control for the cruise, and of course, as you might expect, that controls the brights and the indicator lights. Down below, we've got a climate control, so it's automatic climate control. You can set your temperature. Just going to get a couple of personal items out of the way out of a little storage cubby. And I suppose it's not the end of the world. There's some change in it and a pink paper clip. I have a sense that cigar lighter is missing only because the owner has used that as an outlet for a 12 volt outlet for an accessory. We'll try to get that information and pop it into the detailed listing. But there's the shifter for the 4-speed automatic. You see the W and S labels there. So S&W, summer, winter. So in summer, the car is, in summer mode anyway, the car is built to start in first gear. And in winter mode, it's designed to start in second gear so as to avoid wheel spin from ice. But as I was saying earlier, with this low mileage, this car has been lightly used, 51,000 kilometers on an 03. We're not going to promise no winter use, but very, very light winter use, if any. Do take a look at the underside photos on our detailed listing. So we've got a few items here in the console that are kind of reflective of the European roots of this car. This up in front of the handbrake there, that's just a control for a light. Then we've got the ignition to switch the car on, start the car, and the brush inside the handbrake opening is a reminder for me anyway of 80s BMWs. But the 6 buttons we see before us, I suppose I should do a sideway view of that. But up top on the left is a controller for all 4 windows. So one touch, all 4 windows down. And then these 4 are the individual window controls. And then to the top right, that controls the roof. So a power roof. We're not going to demonstrate it on this video, but there are videos on the detailed listing showing the roof on its way up and then on its way down again. This button here appears to be a blank. I'll give you a look at the original Saab floor mats. Not perfectly clean, but original items, and certainly worth a shampoo to get this car looking tip-top. The passenger side shows an original Saab floor mat as well. Nice thick carpet, medium pile anyway. And there's a cargo net over here for the passenger. Inside the glove box, just a garage door opener, air freshener, but nice and clean inside the glove box too. There's a look at that SRS badge to indicate the passenger side airbag. Vents, one on the side, one in the center, one on the driver's side. And then getting a look at the rear seat. I'm operating a power seat here for the driver to give us a bit better look. 2 belts in the rear, so a 4-passenger car. Got the original mats for the rear passengers as well, but black leather with generous headrests for the passengers as well. So shoulder belts here in the rear with receptacles down here in the center. So, and then speakers for stereo on either side by the rear passenger head or armrests. And pretty funky headrests for the front passengers. Certainly consistent with previous generation Saabs. I remember 80s Saab 900s having something very similar, if not identical. And here's the release to let the passengers in and out. Map pockets or stowage pockets in the rear of the seat for those rear passengers. So we'll get that seat put back. And I think what I'll do is I'll grab the key and we'll have a quick look at the trunk. There are a couple of items in there. I think I already talked about one when we were under the hood. So I grabbed the key because you can operate the trunk that way. And there's an acknowledgement from the light system of the car when you've operated the power lock. Get this backpack out of the way. And then here are the ignition parts. I mentioned there are photos of it on the detailed listing. I won't pull it out of the box right now, but you can see they are Saab original parts. As I say, photos of it on the detailed listing for lot 230, the 03 Saab 93 SE convertible. There's just to set up tow hook. And here's the CD changer I mentioned. I think if I slide this cover, the magazine comes out. Look at that. So still functional 21 years later. And you can see the Saab label to indicate an OEM item. So I'll just pop that back in and slide the door back across. And down below, there's I won't say unused, it might have been used once or twice, but pretty clean spare tire area. The wheel itself looks unused, but the tire does show a little bit of soiling. And that jack and the tools looking very clean, but maybe not unused. But it's certainly a nice clean trunk floor. So yeah, it just adds to the clean look of the car. Another brilliant Swedish inclusion. This is kind of a regulatory thing now in case anyone were to be locked in the trunk. This piece is both the trunk latch and it's also transparent, or I'll just say glow in the dark. I can't think of the fancy word. Fluorescent is the word I'm looking for, so that someone, if ever locked in the trunk, can release the trunk to get out. But over here, this is not only a handle to pull the trunk down, but this is a reflector as well, so that if the trunk were ever to be open, ajar on a dark night on a roadway, and say the car had lost all power, no problem with this one. We can even see the trunk light operating, but the car would be visible with that reflector by the headlights of the oncoming traffic. So typical Swedish maneuver, thinking of safety. So we'll pop that trunk down using that handle. I don't think I mentioned the rear spoiler when we did the tour, but there's a good look at the rear spoiler. A nice sporty appointment with the center high mounted stoplight, i.e. third brake light, mounted right in the trunk lid, in the center of course. So one more walk around the car and we'll move to some concluding thoughts. Sure is a beautiful day for open top motoring here. I think we'll pull away from the park with the top down. Can't beat it. Beautiful sunny warm day. So here's our glam shot that we like so much. Okay, moving along to some closing thoughts now. So there's a good look at our 2003 Saab 9.3 SE convertible. Front wheel drive machine, front engine. That engine is a 2-liter inline 4, turbocharged, good for over 200 horsepower. See the exact specs on our detailed listing at CollectorCarCanada.CA. Lot 230 for this one. Silver finish, original paint, and you can check the Carfax for it as well. It's right there on the detailed listing at lot 230, CollectorCarCanada.CA. Silver original finish on black leather, 2+2, only 2 belts in the rear, but low mileage on this one, under 51,000 kilometers, and you'll be buying from the original owner who took delivery back in 2003 from Turpin Pontiac Buick Saab in Ottawa, Ontario. But this one's ready to go. I'll also point out those low mile Michelin Pilot AS3 tires that look great, great tread on those still, and they really do suit the car. Bit of a sporty look to them, and that other sporty look I like on the car with the rear spoiler. So thank you again for watching. Again, a 2003 Saab 9.3 SE convertible, under 51,000 kilometers from the original owner. Thanks for watching, and on to the next car.